Welcome to our second half hour, everyone. Tonight, something a little different, our closer look on the Boulder White Clouds.
In the middle of Idaho lies the largest roadless section of land in the lower 48 states. It's the Boulder White Clouds. There may be debate about what to do to protect it, but no one can argue it's a beautiful and unique resource.
Now, I've lived in Idaho all my life and listened to debate about it for most of that time.
And I've lived in Idaho for a year and a half and spent just 3 days in the Boulder White Clouds, and I can see why many people want to protect it.
You know, the question tonight is, how? Have Congress create a wilderness bill?
Or have the president make it a national monument? The debate is on.
And it is a big one.
Never again. No, no, no.
County Commissioner Wayne Butts is one side of the debate, the Custer County side. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone on the Custer County side that wants a national monument designation. They're worried about the influx of tourists.
With some of the studies that have been done that state that we could have as many as 5,000 people visit this on a weekend, and today on the upper end of the valley, our traffic counts show that there's around 50.
I mean, the Custer County is third world infrastructure. Is not in any way ready for this.
The thing that we're worried most about is our small dirt road.
That's the road into the Boulder White Clouds.
Our road and bridge superintendent told us today that to acquire easements and to start road from the ground up would cost us, in today's oil prices, anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million per mile.
And he's talking about 40 miles.
But proponents of a monument designation say federal money will come.
A national monument or a new designation as wilderness would bring in some measure of added resources.
I'm the old man on the commission. I've been here for 20 years. I've watched wilderness come in. I've watched NSRA come in. I've watched roadless come in. All of which the other organizations say, oh, this is really going to be an economic base for you in Custer County. It has not.
On the other side of the debate, or the mountain, you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone in Blaine County that doesn't want a monument designation.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's unfinished business for the state of Idaho.
Rick Johnson with the Idaho Conservation League worked with Congressman Mike Simpson for 10 years to get a wilderness bill passed to protect the Boulder White Clouds. It's called CEDRA, and it's still in committee.
I would love to see that bill pass. My optimism for how Congress can rise to the challenge is very low, quite frankly. So that's what I would prefer, but I would be foolish to not be looking at the strategic opportunity that is presented by a national monument.
And there's the problem. Most people can support the CEDRA wilderness bill, but will it ever get passed?
I think no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, you can agree that Congress is broken right now.
And there's sort of this radical center in politics that I think is really not too functional these days. I think there's a center that is where the people's business should be done, but it really just isn't getting there.
But better a monument than not protecting the Boulder White Clouds?
It's already managed really well.
And that's another argument. Much of the Boulder White Clouds is already protected by the Sawtooth National Recreation Act, the Bureau of Land Management, and the Forest Service.
Making it a national monument would put another layer of government over those three. We are worried that the BLM and the Forest Service and the SNRA already work together really well. Putting another layer of government might disrupt that.
Part of it is BLM, part of it is in the Sawtooth Chalice National Forest, Salmon Chalice National Forest, and it needs greater direction. It needs greater coherence to the management. It's a big landscape, and it should have overriding direction to the management to help steer and guide it into the next century.
But we've got the entire about 2/3 left of the East Fork watershed that really has no protection at this point.
Sportsman for Boulder White Clouds believes the resource is too valuable to leave up to chance.
It's just the time to act now. It's stalled out in Congress too many times on the wilderness proposal.
Well, I think the Boulder White Clouds is really the crown jewel of central Idaho, and it deserves protection in perpetuity.
They're called the White Clouds, and they've got just a lot of minerals that are providing the nutrients for larger fish growth.
For fisheries values, it's just unbelievable. It's the highest spawning habitat for salmon and steelhead found anywhere in the world, and we need to protect that.
Something sportsmen feel cannot be handled by a wilderness bill through Congress.
Well, I think back in D.C., there's definitely concern that Congress can't pass wilderness bills right now. They have been unable to pass any kind of significant legislation that protects our public lands. And the Antiquities Act gives the administration authority to make this a monument.
The one thing I can tell you as an advocate for the monument, however, is we are building everything we are doing in our advocacy for the monument to mirror Mr. Simpson's bill.
And while you would like to think they would listen to local people on the national monument, the reality is they don't have to.
And that's what worries Congressman Simpson. No one has worked harder to protect the Boulder White Clouds, and he says it should be done by Congress.
The difference is if you put something in statute, that's what it is. If you do a national monument, there are certain other restrictions that you can't do in a national monument. You can't hunt in a national monument.
They might allow for hunting, but there's no guarantee. The congressman says the designation comes first, the management plan second.
So there are some restrictions on national monuments that would affect us, that won't affect us if we actually do a wilderness bill designed by Idahoans.
I would prefer Congress did it because I think there's clarity to that, there's a transparency to that, and there's a bill that's been worked on by Idahoans for over 10 years.
I would rather have a plan that is our bill that we have worked out in Idaho and actually have it pass Congress.
This is a decision that should be made in Congress, where they can bring people together in advance, compare different interests, weigh the benefits, and produce something that is balanced, that preserves multiple use as well as environmental protection, and also that gives these counties some economic help.
It would be a shame to lose that for future generations by sitting around and waiting time and time again for something that just doesn't seem to be improving on the congressional front.
If we're sitting here in these chairs next year at this time, one of two things will have happened. It will either be a national monument or it will be wilderness area with areas released that was designed in Idaho. One of the two things will happen.
Get together, get a bill, do the process, and do a good job. So if the administration acts now, shame on them, but if the delegation failed to act later, shame on them.
Simpson says next year there will be a new chairman of the Resources Committee. He's from Utah. He may be more compelled to get the Boulder White Clouds Wilderness Bill to the floor.